Hey guys, welcome to DM Talk. I'm Henry Knight, and from Playerole, I'm the DM from Playerole. Tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Central, we have a big game, like always. Every Saturday, every other Saturday, we have a big game. But tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Central, the campaign returns. And the guys will be here. We're going to have a good time, and we're going to play a good old game of Dungeons and Dragons. You know what I'm talking about. D&D. Everybody loves Dungeons and Dragons. So that's what we're going to play tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Having a little bit of a drink here. So, what is tonight's topic? Tonight's topic is going to be fun. We're going to talk about villains. Villains, you're big bad, all that type of thing. And I just want to say, how do you play your villains? How do you play your villains? How do you run your villains? How do you make them? Let me know in the comments. I also have my Discord. Hit me up in Discord. We'll chat up on Dungeons and Dragons or whatever you want to talk about. Let me know how you make your villains. How do you make them? Do you just are in bed one day, one night, and you get up in the morning and you have your arms folded and you come up with a great idea? You say, damn, I got a good villain. I got a good bad guy for the campaign. A good big bad. Is he a creature? Is he, half human, half creature? Whatever concept you create. Those are that's the topic tonight, guys. Villains. Well, the way I make villains is I go through a process. I love movie soundtracks. I love listening to music. It could be instrumental. It could be rock. It could be movie soundtracks. It could just be anything. What I do, I get my inspiration from that. And I just put my AirPods in and I just go through this mental process, and I start thinking of campaign ideas, story ideas, and then I get into a villain. What is the main villain? How do you do it? How can you just create a concept of something evil? Or maybe somebody that's good. Maybe a villain can be someone in a town watching the party, and maybe he's jealous. Maybe that villain is weak, but he has his people. Maybe he's so intimidating. He knows how to talk. He knows how to walk. He knows how to talk. He knows how to just manipulate people. That's what a true villain is, right? Well, those are the things that we're going to talk about today. Villains in general. A villain can be anything. It can be a child. It can be a man. It can be a king or queen. It can be whatever you want. A villain is the DM's story. And all the party, the players come together to fight this magnificent force that is the villain, that main guy, that or gal, that person, that evil being behind the cloak. Hidden in the shadows, in the tavern, drinking that ale, watching the party as they gallivant. Watching the party from afar or near. Or maybe the villain is a rogue. Maybe the villain has his cloak down. Starts moving through people. And then finally, you see the villain. He's there, taking your gold, running away. Maybe you get in a fight with a dragonborn. Maybe you get in a fight with a tiefling. Maybe you get in a fight with an orc. You didn't kill him, but you killed half of his party. That orc seeks revenge. He's going to come after you. Those are aspects of a villain. That's what makes a true villain. Because in the end, folks, role-playing, Dungeons and Dragons, any role-playing game, in the end, in the very end, that villain is what you're going to fight. That person, whoever it is, that's the big bad. Now, if you decide to create a party, and let's say your party, they're the bad guys. Let's say you're playing an evil campaign, right? You're playing an evil campaign, and all of a sudden, you're the antagonist. You're not the protagonist. You're not the good guy. Can a villain be an antagonist? I mean, a protagonist? Can a villain be a good guy? If you're playing the role of an evildoer, of a bad guy, and you're going and you are playing a role of a orc party, 10 or 12, and you go into a village and you slaughter the village and you're the bad guy, then who's the villain? Ask yourself that question. Who's the villain? Who is the villain? Oh, wait. You can't be the villain. You're part of the story. Be careful there. Are you an anti-hero? You go both ways. You're good when you want to be and bad when you want to be as well. You work both sides of the aisle. So those are story arcs that work well within a Dungeons and Dragons scenario. It can be a band of orcs. It can be a party of thieves. Or excuse me, rogues. They walk into a town in the shadows. They don't go in the right way. They sneak in because they want to cause havoc. In their guild, they were told, in order for you to achieve higher goals, this band of thieves, rogues, enter a town, and the guild told them, hey, you want higher marks in our guild, you need to go and start doing what we're telling you to do. Go to the governor's office in town, steal the painting, whatever it is. Those are the things that make a game enticing. When the party are not just heroes, but they become a little feistier. There's flavor in it. Me, when I play a character, I like playing the paladin. I like playing the Superman type of character. I like being the good guy. I like being the Boy Scout. Nothing wrong with that. I tried playing a bad guy as a player, and it didn't go well. You could watch earlier episodes of DM Talk. I go over that. They're pretty funny. But no, I'm not really an evil player type of thing. I don't play evil characters. In my campaigns, I can role play them, yes. But if I'm playing in somebody else's campaign, my guy is usually lawful good. Now, let's get back to what we're talking about villains. So you have this party of thieves, right? And the Thieves Guild said, okay, guys, in order for you to receive higher marks, and what do I mean by that, higher marks? In order for you to get recognition in the guild, you must go to the town and you must do 3 tasks. 1, steal the governor's painting that's behind him in his office. 2, beyond the town, there's a cave you must enter. And there is a relic in that cave, somewhere in the cave. We don't know where the relic's at, but it's somewhere in the cave. We'll give you a map, maybe, that gives you the location, but retrieve that relic. And 3, assassinate the governor. Whoa, wait. the party goes. We didn't say anything about assassination. Do you want to be recognized in this guild? See what I mean? Those are the things you have to think about. Those are the things you play with in a game. Selectively, what is a villain? We could look up a definition of what a villain is, and we can chop it down, break it up. Maybe the hero had to kill the governor because maybe the hero's family was held hostage. Maybe there was something in his life that made him do this. Oh, wait, but he's not a villain. Is he an anti-hero? Is he? What is that character? It's the story that makes that character progress. It's the story that flourishes the character. It's the story that just brings things to new heights. That brings your story to new heights. Villains in general are a force to be reckoned with because they, excuse me, they can be anybody. They could be that person in the tavern watching you. They could be a child. Yes, a child. Maybe, remember I described the scenario with the thieves? The guild? They had to do the 3 tasks, and they killed the governor. Yes, they killed the governor, but the governor has a family. In my games, there's consequences. Either you play evil, a villain, or a good guy, a hero. But even the hero has issues. So if you do something that sides with your view, there's consequences. Every little thing starts dropping. So you kill the governor. You kill the governor. Guess what happens? The governor has a family. There's a plot of revenge. Maybe the young girl. She's 15 years old. She sees the murder happen. She follows the thieves to their guild, their hideout. She was lucky enough that she didn't get killed herself, but she made it because she was protected by the gods. Somehow fate brought them together. And then something happened. She made a deal with a devil. She made a deal with a dragon in disguise as a human. She made a deal with something more powerful than she, just to get her revenge on that guild, on that party of thieves that decided, because they wanted to be recognized in their guild, to kill the governor. The governor, which happened to be a father, which she loves. She's a little girl that loves her father. And now the father was killed by the thieves of the guild, and now all of a sudden, she takes revenge. By fate, by destiny, she was brought to this guild to face them. But you can say, how is this girl a villain? Well, think about it. She's innocent. Now revenge is the only thing in her mind. That doesn't make her good, does it? So she granted the thieves, in the story, the thieves initially did a horrible task. They killed the governor, they stole a painting, they went and retrieved a relic in the cave. The 3 things they needed to lock everything up. They went into a cave, they retrieved the relic, gave everything, they brought everything back to the guild master. And now all of a sudden, everything's okay? Yes. Excuse me. Everything is peachy keen. Well, no, because the girl followed them. Fate brought them together. And now her fate is locked in because of revenge. Because her father died. She saw her father murdered. So now she becomes the villain of the story. She starts changing from being this sweet girl. Now, as she grows older, she knows she's young and cannot take those thieves out. But she still plots in her head. And she becomes stronger by what? What did I just say earlier? She gets help. By making a pact with something evil. She doesn't know. All she cares about is her father died and she wants revenge for it. So she makes a pact with a devil, maybe. Maybe not even that. Maybe she deals with a party of individuals that she pays well because she's a daughter of a governor. And those individuals are now their path and their fates are set as they go on to find and kill the thieves. Think about it. The governor died by the thieves. The thieves originally, all they wanted is to get recognized in the guild. So what they did was they got the recognition by stealing the relic in a cave, killing the governor, and the painting behind the governor. They did all that. They got recognized. But by doing that, it caused a chain of events. The governor has a family. The governor's daughter saw their murder. Guess what happened next? She plotted revenge. And now you have a story. You have the story of the thieves. You have the story of the young girl who grows up for revenge. She hires a group of warriors. There could be, a mage, a rogue, a fighter, whatever. A group of warriors to go out and kill these thieves. So you have elements of the story. So now the true villain is that girl. See how it changes? It just changes. So when you have, if you're DMing and you have your players, the players are playing the thieves, and you're like, oh man, it'd be great to have an all rogue party. So the players, they're playing the rogues, the thieves. So in the campaign, they go out on this mission to get the relic, the painting, and kill the governor. They don't know the exact details. The guild tells them very little. So as a DM, that's the setting of the story. That's the hook. There's a lot of mystery in it. So they go from there, they go to the cave, and they achieve all those three things, returning to the guild. They get recognized, yay! But they don't realize that by killing the governor, his daughter plots revenge, hires another group to kill the thieves. See how things change? There are consequences. When you DM, and I love this, music, to me, it just, your gears start going. It's like in a movie where in Terminator, if there was no music, it would be a very different movie. The music really brings out the scenarios of the film. And when there's music, it just brings everything up. The action, the emotion. And when you DM, it's the same thing. Your emotion, everything comes together. And when everything comes together, it makes things just right. And to me, music is half the battle. Music is half the battle. Because, and I've played without music before in Dungeons and Dragons and role-playing games. And let me tell you, it's a very different experience. It's difficult. Because you need a form of ambiance, and the music does that. Excuse me. So yeah, you need all that. It brings life into your game. So let's go back to scenario. Let's go look at the consequences. How I would set them up. You're the thieves. There's not much consequence, right? So the characters, the players, decided, okay, to take on this mission. They decide to either go to the cave first. So they go to the cave. The cave is... No, they decide not to go to the cave. They go to the governor's house first, the mansion. They're like, okay, that might be easier. So they go through, get to there. They see a bunch of guards, soldiers. They go beyond the soldiers, and they see the governor, the thieves, the rogues, whatever. They killed the governor. And when you're playing, the players roll investigation, all that type of perception, whatever it is, DC-wise, just to get to that point. Either way, they get to the governor, they kill him. He's a politician, he's not a warrior, anything like that. So where is the consequence in this part of the story, this beginning part of the story? Not yet. The consequence is when they leave, they see a room with the door that's slightly open. There's flickering of light, like from a candle. One of the rogues, the thieves, whatever, peers in the room, and he sees a woman sleeping. And he sees toys, a ball, stuff like that on the ground, hinting that this governor has a family. They see a painting of the governor, his wife, and his kid. Remember, they had to seal a painting, but it wasn't that one. The one behind him was a painting of a castle. Not much. They seal the painting. Remember, the guild tells them seal the painting. They don't tell them that what's in the painting. So they seal the painting. The players investigate, and they realize there's a little bit more to this than what it seems. The consequences is this. The governor has a family. The governor clearly has money. Why does the guild want him dead? Those are the things that leave a hole in the story, or not a hole in the story, just there's a connection there, but they got to figure that out. Why does the guild want the governor dead? So they don't know that. They just want to be recognized in the guild. But then they realize, oh, there's a problem. He has a family. But all in all, they're like, screw it, let's just do this and get it over with. So they do it quickly. They give him poison instead of whatever. Instead of stabbing him, making it look bad, they give him poison. One of them rolls badly and drops something. A lot of noise. They're all quiet. They kill the governor. He's keeled over. He's drooling. You see this white foam coming out of half of his mouth. His head's on the desk. They steal the painting. Something falls out of the painting. They don't notice. They make a roll. They roll badly. Something falls out of the painting. They leave. Remember, they made noise. They failed to roll. They leave quickly. They try to leave quickly. They do a stealth roll. Out of 3 of them, 2 make it. The last one doesn't. It's not. I gave them a. Let's say I gave them a DC of 15, and they roll. One of them gets a 13. Not much. It's still a good roll, but it's not, exceedingly bad. But either way, they go out. They make enough noise to wake the family. The mother is still asleep. A daughter has already been watching, and she finds everything. She sees the act. She sees they stole a painting, but what falls out of it is a piece of parchment. Maybe a deed, maybe something personal, something written, whatever it is you want to throw in the story, that's up to you. But whatever the guild wanted, they wanted the painting. The painting didn't seem anything, you don't have time to look at it. It's just a painting of a castle. Unless you're an expert, you're not going to know. So the thieves, the rogues, they grab the painting, kill the governor, and leave. Their last task is to go to the cave. So they run out, hurry up, and they move. They're pretty fast, and they move. They have a wagon. They take the wagon in the forest, and they go to the cave. The cave's not very far from the town, so they go to the town. They go to the cave, sorry. They go inside the cave, and everything just falls apart from there. They realize that they're being hunted. By whom? One of them rolls out of the 3 rogues. One of them rolls very good. They got a 20. Let's say they got a critical 20. They got a critical success. Yay! So he looks and he sees that other guild members are after him. There's 10 of them. 10-3. The odds are not good. See how the consequences start going up? Oh, wait. And originally, Henry, you said that in the story they made it back. I'm not finished. So, instead of fighting, they decide to hide and follow the other guild members and realize that they were not looking for them. They were looking for another group. And they heard murmurings of other members that had failed. Some had died in this very cave. So they were searching their bodies. They saw other guild members on the ground, searching their bodies. They found some gold, some silver. And what do? Took off. They left the cave. So now you're wondering, as a player character, and the DM behind the screen does this. Don't worry, I'm not looking. So the DM tells the story, and the players are wondering, well, if we're going into this cave and we have to get the relic, then what's the problem? Why is other guild members here searching bodies of failed rogues, thieves, whatever? Failure. They failed, and now they're searching their bodies and leaving. Is the relic real? That's going in your mind. See the consequences? Everything starts to gear up. So the story starts progressing. More things, more subplots. Things starts coming in. Bam, bam, bam. They're now they can't understand what's happening because it was a simple mission. All they had to do is go in there and go and kill the governor, grab the painting, grab the relic in the cave. The painting and the governor, I'd say are probably medium to low difficulty. somewhere around there. You could either have a low difficulty or medium. All depends on how you want to do it. Depending on how many guards are protecting the governor, all that stuff. That's up to you. The cave now, that can be a high difficulty. Because in the cave, there are wandering monsters, there are traps, there's all other aspects that make it difficult. Not just going up to a castle or a manor. All right, so they're wondering if this relic even exists. But remember, they were given a map. But it should have been a telltale sign from the guild members, the leaders, when they told the players for their mission, hey you, go into the cave. I have a map. We don't know where the relic is. Really? Do you not know where the relic is, but yet you have a map of it? You don't know where the relic is, but you're giving me a map of exactly where it is. Doesn't make any sense, but okay, whatever. You're just, starting off at a low level, and you just want to do what you want to do. You want to complete the mission. If I had a group of players, I'd be like, well, let's do the mission and do it carefully and find out what's going on. So now you have all these things as a player going on in your head. You're like, man, we killed the governor, got the painting. Now we need a relic. And right now there is so many things happening. We alerted the guards, maybe. We're probably wanted. Think about it. It makes a great story. So now you're trying to figure out what's going on. Why is there a problem with this relic? Why is there even a problem with the relic? Is there even a relic here in the cave? So the players start discussing things. Okay, well, let's look at the dead bodies. The other group. So they check the dead bodies on the ground like the other guild members did, and they don't find anything because they took everything. But one of them makes a 20, a critical success, gotta love it. So one of them sees another entrance in the cave. What? Nah. It's blocked off. It's not blocked off naturally because you happen to be, you make a nature check and you notice that it was moved. The rocks were moved. Maybe there's leaves, dirt, mud, whatever. You notice, oh my gosh, it was blocked off. So you start moving everything away and you find that, hey, this is another entrance. To what? An entrance to the cave? No. In actuality, it's an entrance to another part of the cave. All you see before you is a long straightaway, a slight opening, and then a left and the right. That's what you see as a party. So now you're like, oh, wait, there is another hole there, another avenue, so we're going to take it. So they all go in there. And what they find, well, after various traps and stuff, however you want to set them out, you could put them out in the beginning, before they come in the cave. You could set them out here and there. All depends. A mudslide, a swinging axe, stuff like that. Traps, when they started fumbling through the dirt, they get their hand with a bear trap. Stuff like that. Those are the things you have to recognize. Oh, wait. How did everybody die here? You see a bunch of arrows in your chest. You see that The dead body's on the ground. They had a big fight. Something. They were attacked by some animal. There you go. There's your creature. If you're playing Milestone, you go to your checkpoints, to your different milestones. So the way I do Milestone is every 2 episodes, you go up a level. Every 3 episodes, you go up a level. Or even better, depending on where they're at in the story arc, they go up a level. That's however you want to do it. Let's see. So in the story, they realize, man, there's a lot more going on here. There is something going on, and we don't know what's happening. We don't know what's happening. So now you have this group of players that's having an incredible, difficult time. And they found a hidden entrance. They checked the bodies. They know they got into some form of fight. They can't tell if it was a creature or people because they rolled badly. They rolled investigation. Some rolled nature to see. The one that made the nature roll, they understood the things were moved to hide another pathway. They knew that. So they went through there and they realized that, well, a big trap. You know, mudslide. Let's say they go through a mudslide. They go through the mudslide. They don't make it. Some damage. The portion, bottom portion of the cave, you see a circle. And in the circle, you see this altar. And you see this relic. The relic is a face mask of some kind. What's that? Don't know what it is. Don't want to know. That is a relic. So it looks like a mask. It looks like a cool looking gold mask. Nobody's going to put it on. Nope. In fact, one of the rogues has a glove. Yep. I'm going to grab the mask and I'm going to put it in my bag. Backpack. Good to go. Safe. Good to go. So now they got the relic. They got the painting. They got the relic, the painting, and they kill the governor. They got everything they need. So they leave. Now, a moral of the story is once they go back to the guild, they're going to realize that something occurred. On the way there, what are the consequences? The consequences is they knew that the governor had a family. They knew that there were children, or there were kids of some kind. They don't know how many, but they knew that a family is a family. And they still killed the governor for their own malicious needs. Now, they are a band, they're guild members, so they can do whatever they want. Yes, but whatever they want will still bring consequences. So even though they knew that the governor had a family, they went in there, killed the governor, grabbed the painting, and they left. Whatever was in that painting slid from the back of the painting onto the ground. The daughter has it. She found it. And here comes my cat. Charlie, no. I'm doing a show. No. So now you have all these mystery items, these items. The items are not important. What's important is the task at hand, how they did it, and the consequences of doing what they did. I'm not saying that being a villain, because this is the overall theme, is good. But sometimes you gotta question your actions. And even villains have certain aspects that can be questioned. It's that simple. And in the story, you have those elements. They must be addressed. You can't just leave them open. At least to me, I don't like leaving them open. Consequences is a big deal in my games. Just bigger than the story itself. Because if somebody does something malicious in the game, those consequences are going to overlap on whomever, as a group, enacted on those malicious ideologies. Villains are tricky. When you have a good villain in your game and the players are good guys, they're going to do what they do. They're not going to just stay put. That's why I love role-playing, is a lot of movies, the villain just does what he does. He has this huge monologue and, okay. But what if the villain is not there at the warehouse? Maybe you knew that in order to capture him, no, Charlie, no. Charlie's my cat. She's being a real pain right now. So, let's say that you go to, let's get back to the thieves and this scenario I put out. Stop, man. No. So in the scenario, the villain, who's the villain of the story? Is it the girl? Is it the players? Are they the villain of the story? Because they started out, they're the ones that killed the governor. So who's the villain in this story? It could be anybody. It can be the creature that they fight. All depends on how you want to run it as a DM. You got to remember, a villain is a special entity in your game that creates an element of surprise. It reacts to situational effects that you have or plots that you have in the story. The villain can be anything, really. And what makes a story good and have villains in the story, which makes it perfect, is the villain that you don't know is a villain until that last moment. Until that moment that when you raise your sword to fight and the person the person next to you has a sword, going to fight by your side, and realize that sword is upon you. That's a true villain. I think the failure of movies today is that they've lost the sense of what a true villain is. They can say that a villain can just sit there and be the bad guy. Oh, he's the drug dealer in my game. He's that orc chieftain in the game. He's that big guy with the big axe. He's the villain in the game. But what about that girl that her father was killed in the mansion, in the governor's mansion? What about that girl that seeks revenge for a bunch of rogues that came in the mansion and killed their father, stole her things, or a painting? The painting wasn't much, but the death of her father was. Is she the true villain? See, now, if you were watching this in the movie, you would see that the thieves are the ones doing the wrong thing, right? Because they're not heroes. But now, in a way, that girl is a villain because she's seeking revenge and she is targeting the wrongdoers. See, who's the hero and who's a villain? It's skewed because now, excuse me, the girl, that young girl could be the problem. That young girl ends up being that true villain later on. Let's say the party gets wiped by the young girl. She ends up hiring that group of mercenaries. They go after him, and they end up killing the party. But it's not enough for her, because now she's not too happy about rogues. She's not happy about a lot of people. So now she wants to change things. Charlie, no. Excuse me a moment. My cat is not in a good place. She's gonna end up messing things up, and I don't want this to be messed up. This is my true villain right here. All right, so now you have a story of this young girl. Remember, I said everything is skewed now because now the girl takes revenge. She kills the party of thieves, and now, yeah, according to her, it's victory, right? Is it victory? Because revenge isn't sweet. It feels good for a second, but then she realizes that she's done wrong. Because initially, she wasn't that type of character. But she was so emotionally messed up because of her father being killed that she seeks revenge. She seeked revenge. And revenge brought her to this situation. The consequences of it broke her apart. I mean, literally, emotionally, mentally, it broke her. So now you have an amazing story with consequences all over. And those are the things you have to think about. And I really mean that because when you make a villain, in my game, that girl, that would be her past. That would be her part of her story. And I would take her and create that girl would be a villain. You're getting, oh man, I don't want all this on my computer. No. All right, so, oh no, Charlie, no. So now this girl becomes the true villain. She's that force to be reckoned with. As she gets older, she's unpleasant. She may not be lawful good. She might be neutral. Neutral would be, and then she might be chaotic neutral later on. But she becomes a villain. There's that tale, Charlie. So those are the things that you really have to think about when you're creating a story. And what makes a story even better is when you have the elements of surprise, consequences, intrigue, emotion, and a fucking good soundtrack. The music is amazing. And I'm going to plug in Monument Studios. You know, they're not my sponsor or anything. I wish they were. But they are very, very cool. I use them for my games, my music, and Monument Studios is very cool. So check them out. Anyways, the elements of story, especially in a villain-themed story, is fantastic. And a villain could be anybody in your story. Depends on how you want to use it as a DM. To me, that emotion, that sense of desperation, is a true villain in my view. Villains are skewed when it comes to, especially in my games. They have problems. They know they're not perfect. They're not the picturesque. Hey, I'm the villain. No, they're gonna have problems. They're gonna have, maybe they can't fight right because of a battle they had before. Maybe they can't see out of their left eye. Maybe they're blind out of their left eye or right eye. Maybe they're blind altogether because they had difficult situations in their life, but yet they're villains. And this cat she's a good cat, but she's a little annoying sometimes. Hey, I don't want your hair getting in this computer. All right, so when you create a villain, remember those aspects. Don't just look at the D&D stat block and say, oh, I want to create this cool creature. Okay, so what does a creature do? How are you going to implement that creature in your campaign? The creature is not just about power. And the same thing goes with creatures. They're not about power. They're not just, he's a dragon, she's a dragon, she's got a wing attack, a breath attack, tail attack. They're very cool. But remember, they're not just about power. It's the element of the story that makes the villain what a villain is. And if you're going to make a creature your biggest villain, then make it right. Throw a little flavor in it. When in battle, maybe they do something extraordinary. Instead of having a legendary action of a wing attack, maybe it does this attack that it charms the party, or something like that. Maybe whatever it is you want to do, look at the creature, understand, like zombies, for example. Bring a little flavor into zombies. Don't just use regular zombies, although they're cool to have, but maybe have 6 of them. Have 6 zombies being normal, and then all the rest of them are not. Change them up. That way your party can be, wow, man, I'm fighting a cool zombie. I'm fighting, another aspect of a zombie, another creature. Charlie, oh boy, what is wrong with you? So those are the things you have to think about. And when you understand just the concept of how to make a villain and how to do it right, it's going to be amazing. Because the party right now, they're fighting a vampire in the main campaign. And the end of the line crew, the other story arc I had that led to this one, that, watch your claws, thank you, that arc, the main villain is a vampire. So are you going to use Dungeons and Dragons vampire? Are you going to mix elements from different genres and make your own? Whatever you do, ultimately it's your decision as DM. But remember that the elements of role-playing, the elements of making a villain, make them good. Make a villain memorable. Just like that music in a movie, how the music starts to build up slowly, and it goes dun 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 dun. Just the music build up. Imagine that build up. And at that point, remember that build up. The villain is the same thing. Charlie, stop. The build up is the same thing. The villain is the same thing. Remember all those things. Guys, Dungeons and Dragons, what makes it so good, why it's so good now, is because memorable scenes, memorable situations in your game. There are really big streamers out there that are creating awesome stories. Why? Because their villains are not humdrum. Their villains are not a humdrum stat block. Their villains are more. Their villains, okay, Charlie, you need to go down. Thank you. Their villains, man, I got hair all over me. Their villains are amazing. They're memorable. And you might get pockets of the villain from the beginning, maybe in the story, and then sprinkle in the middle, and at the end you get a lot of that big bad. However you want to do it. Yeah, we know the art of writing, the elements of writing, but you also could break that and sprinkle elements of the villain throughout your story. Very little in the beginning, build it a little bit up in the middle, and then at the end, splurge it. However you want to do it as a DM or a storyteller. A lot of misconceptions that people have about writing and story is the fact that they look at it and say, well, you got to go with the formula. Yeah, you do. But not really. There is a movie, and I'm not going to mention the name, I'm going to describe it, where the beginning of the movie is the end. The middle is the beginning, and the end, well, you know. So it's different sequencing. Oh, wait, that person wrote it, didn't use the typical mythology, the typical concept of writing. Why? Because that person uses noggin. That person writing that story was amazing. He did something different. Was it a big risk? Yeah, you're going to have to take big risks. That's what makes a story, and not just, oh wait, this villain wasn't going to show up until the very end, but yet he showed up in the beginning of the story. How is that even plausible? It happened. The writer took a chance and made it memorable. Oh wait, it's not fair. In Dungeons and Dragons, according to their level, and the level of this creature is overwhelming. Let me ask you this, and this is where I disagree with the formula of Hollywood, with the formula of writing sometimes. Sometimes, not all the time. Let me ask you this. A bad guy wants to hurt somebody, wants to take you out. Let's go back to the governor scenario, right? So you're the bad guy, you take the mission, you go to kill the governor, right? But let's say that in the process, the governor knew that you were coming. He had tripled his security, and before you even got there, you died. He leaves one alive, and he says, I have a message for the guild. He cuts off your ear, and you return to your guild, and you tell him. So that makes the story even more intriguing, right? So who's the bad guy now? Who's the good guy? Out of the three rogues, One survived because they were tricked. Maybe in the painting there was a deed that fell out of the painting, remember? I mentioned that. There was a deed in the painting. That deed was for a large amount of money, a large amount of land that was owed to a certain individual. It was signed by the governor himself, that whoever receives this deed would claim the land and many fortunes. That's what the guild wanted. So who's the true villain now? The true villain was not the little girl. The true villain was not the party, even though they were doing bad things. The true villain was the guild. They had their own intentions, their own agenda. Now, getting back to format, the beginning, middle, and end. Yeah, essentially, that's the formula. But what if the villain decides to do something different? What if the villain exposes himself or herself in the beginning, all out? What if your players, your group, your heroes, decide to go to that warehouse to have the final battle and realize that the villain is not there? Or maybe it's too late. And they look up and there's an explosion and everybody dies. It can't happen. Not everybody wins a scenario. There are no winners, there are no losers. It's how you get there that makes you a hero. It's how you get there that brings up total you, that makes that person powerful. There are too many reasons why heroes fail. There are too many reasons why villains fail. And my villains, in my story, when you go to that warehouse, you might be late. Or the plans of the villain continues. They're not going to stop and wait. Oh, wait, I know they're coming to the warehouse. I will wait here in my swivel chair and wait, and I will tell them my deed. My monologue will be 20 minutes long before we battle. No, absolutely not. Those are things that when you're running a game, writing a story, or writing a screenplay, think out of the box. Out of the box. Think out of the formula. What can make it better than the formula? Oh, there is nothing better than the formula. Yes, there is. Think out of the box. When I mentioned that movie about beginning, middle, and end, and how things were reversed and mishmashed, I'm not going to mention the movie. You all know, you've seen it. Famous director, wonderful writer. So, you know what I'm talking about. It can be done. Think out of the box. When you think out of the box, your story will flourish. Your villain will flourish. You didn't know that that little girl was going to become a villain, did you? You didn't know that the true villain of the story, the main big bad, was the guild. But I told you in the beginning, I gave you hints. Yeah, they gave you the mission. But in the story, they're the ones giving you the mission. All the guild master is, hey, look, I'm behind the table. I'm giving you the mission. Here you go. Kill the governor, painting, relic. Bye. Oh yeah, recognition. Something fell out of the painting. See, the guild wanted the deed to claim the land and the money. Nefarious deeds. And of course, they got a cool Rilla. But nobody finished the guild's task because the relic was always there and the painting was always there as well. So you had 3 tasks and 2 of them were difficult out of the 3. So those are the things that you have to look at when you're running a game, when you're running a story, when you're telling a story. Take notes. Don't overcomplicate things. When you write in storytelling and Dungeons and Dragons, a lot different than writing a book or a screenplay. You're going to have to be. You can be detailed as you want, but make it simple. Make it simplistic for yourself. When you're writing it out, or however you want to do it, write down scene 1, scene 2, or however you want to do it. Give yourself some form of notes. Deed in painting. Write it down somewhere. Behind the DM screen, my DM screen, I have a list of names, elf names, dwarf names, human names, stuff like that. You never know when players are going to come up to you and they're going to say, "Hey, you there, what's your name?" What are you going to tell them? Tony? Oh, my name's Abigail. My name's Tony the orc. Those are the aspects of role-playing. Those are the aspects of dungeon mastery, of writing as well. More writing than anything else. Because the DM's guide tells you good things. But what it doesn't tell you to think out of the box. It doesn't tell you. They give you a formula. And that's fine and dandy. But you have to think out of the box. Got to remember, the players are not there to outsmart the DM or do anything, but they want to outsmart the scenario. So if you give them a scenario with subplots and intrigue, they're gonna boom, bam, boom, and you got to be on your feet. So I gave them a scenario where they had to go steal the painting. They made some rolls. They killed the governor and they left. None of them saw that deed slipped out of the painting. None of them even knew that the painting was worth anything, if that. They didn't even decide to check it. So you have to be on your feet. But let's say you have a party of players that are pretty slick, and they're the ones that are like, I want to investigate the painting, and they realize that there's something inside this painting. So instead of killing the governor, they want to know what's inside the painting. So they intimidate him enough where he gives up the information and says, there's a deed. It's my estate. It's estate and it's very expensive. So now you know that the guild is trying to pull a fast one on the group of rogues. So what do? See, now it's different. Instead of killing the governor, maybe they intimidate him but don't kill the governor. But now they tell the governor, look, you were hired to, and now the governor makes a roll and starts to realize, oh, there's a plot against me, but now you didn't kill me. But maybe we could work together. So now the story changes aggressively in the other direction. That's thinking out of the box. But what I'm doing is, as a player, I mean, as the DM, I'm putting elements in there where the players can pick and choose how they want to do it, not the way you want to do it. See, initially in your notes, the way I would have my notes, I'd have the story written. The guild is the villain, but I would have paragraph A, the hidden deed about the estate inside the painting in the back. You know, write down the DC number, however it is, however you want to do it. Write it down there or do it how you want to do it. So the deed is inside that painting. You say, okay, party makes a perception roll or investigation roll, a DC of 21. It's a high DC number. They make the roll, they don't make it, yada, yada, yada. Those are the things that you have to do. Because if not, you're going to have problems. If you don't have those little details, you're going to have problems. I have issues of over prepping. I love prepping, prep. And if you over prep, you over prep. But at least you have information. And if you over prep, per se, you can split that episode into another one and add it into another one and go from there. That way, wherever they left off in your story, the next part, you can take elements of whatever is left and meld it into, or take those elements, bring them in your next story, in your next story arc. That's what I do. I just love writing to death, so I write scenarios and different situations and how things go and so forth. But you got to remember, your players are the stars. The DM is the world that they meet. The people is, the ambience, the story, the creatures, the elements of surprise, the villains. That's what you do. You're kind of like the director. Or even better, you're the producer that puts money into the film. That gives you the production value to make the film look good. The special effects, the music, the story, elements in the story that make it good. Those are things that you have to look at. You have to look in your campaign and say, wait, what can I do to make this story good? To make this villain feasible. If he's a creature, throw him in there. Maybe he's a Tarask. Maybe he's a griffin. Whatever. Whatever it is, understand that those elements in your story will give that arc magic, beauty, essence, fun. I had a story arc, and it was this season 2 campaign, where I took a big risk. I wanted to have a trap episode, an episode about trap, about a main trap. It was a water trap. And let me tell you, it was cool. I enjoyed it. They said they enjoyed it, and it was fun. But they were all there. They were thinking elements of that story. That room, that trap room, was referenced in the next episode, and even in the latest episode of End of the Line, it was referenced, that room. So even though that room was 5-6 episodes ago, 6 episodes later, that room was referenced, and it brought more elements to the game because they thought, oh, wait a second, I remember that room. Or maybe I'm playing a different character, but I've been here before. You have the sense you've been here before. So those are the things you have to think about too. The elements in your story are very important. You got to remember, if you don't have anything that connects in your story, it's going to be bland. I love connection. Why does she want revenge? Well, because they killed my father. Remember how I said the story turned? So instead, she sees these individuals talking with her father. And she realizes that these guys want to do good. That girl wants to be a rogue like they are. She likes that class. So later on in life, as she grows older to be a young woman, she decides to take up the class of rogue. She learns, she gets in her own guild, and she does her thing. So that young girl is not bent up with revenge. She becomes a hero. She becomes a good person. But she's a rogue. Because she saw good in people. She said, oh, they didn't kill my father. They were backstabbed, and they worked with her father instead of killing him. So now you have an even bigger story. The villain, the guild, is up against a force to be reckoned with. Because now it's not a story about revenge. It's a story about intrigue. It's a story about, it's a mystery because you don't know why. You know the motive. You know, okay, money, estate, power, yeah. But their true intentions won't be revealed until you hit them at their doorstep. Those are elements of being a true villain. And a true villain, in my eyes, is the one that sits in the background, in the shadows, and waits. He has people working under him. And he goes, go, boom, go, go. He calls the shots, or she calls the shots. He waits for the proper time, and then he goes. If he knows they're getting too close, the villain, he'll proceed with his plans to make sure that they do not succeed. That's how a true villain works. But then there's villains who are all about combat. I want to take them on. They put their armor on, put their sword at their side, their gauntlets, and they go. Ready for battle. And there's villains who are the mastermind. They're behind the scenes all the time. You never see them until the very end. Those are the villains that really make up a good story. You gotta remember, a story in your game can be anything that you want, but it's all in here. And a good villain in your story can be managed right here. It doesn't have to be the proper way the DM's guide tells you to go. It doesn't have to be, oh wait, these guys won't get up a level because he's not the proper CR. He's not the proper... No. Or he's overly powerful. He's OP. He's too much for the party. So, that's not really fair. How could we possibly win? Yeah? Why did you pick a fight with him? Or her? Those are the things you have to think about. Really, you do. You ever play a video game where one portion of the map is exceedingly bad and you get your butt kicked and you die? You ever play that? Excuse me. You ever play that? Where they with a video game, you walk into a room and you get slaughtered because you're not the proper level, right? But you didn't know because you just walked into the room. Oh, he's too powerful. He killed him with one swipe. So one swipe. What do you do? What do you do when you play that video game? You never go back in that room until you're ready, right? So you make sure you get your levels before you get to that room. And the same thing goes with Dungeons and Dragons. You don't have to play by the rules of the DM's guide. No, you don't. Think out of the box. What would I do to gain a level? How would I do it before I go in that room and get killed with one swipe? So you want to get beefier, maybe get better armor, a better weapon, take adventures, all that stuff. Those are the things that in a game makes the game bigger, better. And a lot of times when you have these books that tell you, well, you got to have player agency, or you got to have timing. All that's important, yes, but the final rule, boys and girls, is you. Why is that villain? Why is that villain there? He should be at the totally end of the story. Why is he in the beginning of the story? Because your players decided to cause trouble and walk up to the villain. Well, in the beginning of the story, the villain might have been in a village, maybe farming, doing his thing. Whatever. Whatever it is, just remember, villains are villains, and villains are cool to have creatures in your game. The big bad is what makes the element of the game even bigger. Tell me how you guys make your villains. Let me know. Let's chat on Discord. I have my Discord on here. Let me know what you guys do to make villains bigger, better, stronger. Let me know. Okay, that's all I have for you tonight. I will see you guys in a couple weeks. Actually, you're going to see us tomorrow. Actually, 8 p.m. Central on December 7th, today. 8 p.m. Central tonight. I will see you all there tonight. We're going to have a blast. It's episode 11 of the campaign. It would have been episode 14, but I did a 3-shot called End of the Line, and I ended that story arc, and this opened up a continuing story arc that's called Vampire Stronghold. So tomorrow or today, 8 p.m. Central, join us for the continued campaign of the light. Join us tonight, guys. We got a good game. The guys are going to be there. We're going to have a blast. Join us. I'll see you.